Hello children, today I'm going to read you a story called Cinderella, an old classic fairy tale, but it's told with beautiful Art Deco pictures, which I thought you might like to see. Cinderella. In a time not too long ago, and in a land much like our own, there lived a young and beautiful girl. Her name was Greta. She lived alone with her father because her mother had died many years before. Greta's father was a kind man. He could be quite forgetful and could not see anything at all without his glasses. One day he gathered up his papers and set off for the city to attend an important meeting. "Goodbye, Greta dear. I'll be back in a day or two," he called. When he finally returned after 2 weeks, he had a big surprise. In the city, he'd met a woman whose beauty was such that it could only be recognized by a few, particularly those who had lost their glasses. He married the woman straight away in a church that was rather cold and hard, rather like his new wife's heart. She had 2 daughters, Elvira and Ermintrude. Elvira was as wicked as Ermintrude was dim, and Ermintrude was very, very dim. When her new stepmother saw Greta's fine clothes and jewels, she said, "My girls should have some of these. You do not need them at all." Elvira and Ermintrude fought over every piece and left Greta with only one simple frock. "Greta, your room is perfect for my girls. You can find another," her stepmother said smugly. So Greta was forced to sleep in the kitchen. At night, she lay by the fire to keep warm. When she wakened, she was always covered in dust and cinders. Elvira and Ermintrude started calling her Cinderella, and soon even her father called her by that name. He thought it was just a friendly endearment. One day, as she was cleaning the house, Cinderella heard an announcement on the radio. She ran to tell her stepmother and stepsisters the exciting news. "The king is to hold a ball in honour of her son, Prince Roderick," Cinderella exclaimed breathlessly. "All the eligible girls in the land are invited. The prince is going to choose a bride." There was great excitement on the day of the ball. Cinderella's stepmother knew that Cinderella's beauty outshone that of her own daughters. To make sure Cinderella had no time to prepare for the ball, she made her run back and forth, helping Elvira and Ermintrude. "Brush my hair, Cinderella," exclaimed Ermintrude. "Bring my grey dress," snarled Elvira, "and do my makeup." Alone in the kitchen, Cinderella sighed and wiped away a tear as she watched her sisters and their mother drive away in all their finery. There's Cinderella, children. She looks a bit sad. Suddenly, a bright light filled the kitchen, and a kindly woman appeared. "Do not be frightened," the woman said. "You shall go to the ball. Go outside and fetch a stout grey rat, a large leek, 4 white mice, and 2 glowworms, and leave them on the driveway. Be quick, as we do not have much time." Wow, Look at that carriage, children." Cinderella did as she was told. Then the kindly lady closed her eyes and said, "Magic, magic, work on all. Get Cinderella to the ball." A rumble was heard. Then a flash of light revealed a chauffeur standing in front of a gleaming white car. Cinderella found that her rags had changed into a beautiful gown, and on her feet were glassy slippers. "You're ready," said the kindly lady, "but beware, you must be home before midnight." With that, she disappeared. Cinderella climbed into the car and sped off to the ball. The ball was already in full swing when Cinderella crept in, anxious that her stepsisters might recognise her. "This is hopeless," said Prince Roderick, muttering to himself as he prepared to leave. "There is no one here who I find interesting." Then his eyes fell on Cinderella. In an instant, he fell in love. The prince took Cinderella's hand and led her to the dance floor. They danced together for the rest of the evening, and everyone, even her stepsisters, wondered who the beautiful girl could be. Then the clock began to strike midnight. Cinderella, remembering the kindly woman's warning, raced to the door. As she ran down the palace steps, her beautiful clothes began to turn into rags. In her haste, she lost one delicate glass slipper on the stairs, but managed to slip the other one into her pocket. In the parking lot, Cinderella found her leek, rat, mice and glowworms where the car and chauffeur had been. Gathering them up, she ran home as fast as she could. Prince Roderick held Cinderella's dainty glass slipper in his hand. "The girl whose foot fits this slipper shall be my bride," he vowed. He knew that he could never love another. The next morning, breakfast was interrupted by another announcement on the radio. The prince planned to visit every girl in the land that very day to find the stranger with whom he had danced. Cinderella's stepmother did not know that Cinderella had been at the ball, and she did not want to take any chances. She was determined that the prince would not see Cinderella's beauty. "Go and do the laundry," she ordered to get Cinderella out of the way. Meanwhile, Elvira and Ermentrude prepared themselves for the royal visit. At last the prince arrived. After greeting him, Elvira tried the shoe on, but her foot was too wide. Then Ermentrude pushed her foot into the tiny slipper. For one moment it looked like it might fit, but her foot was too long. "Why not let Cinderella try?" asked her father, coming into the room. "She was not even in the ball," her stepmother snapped. But the prince saw a familiar pair of eyes peeping out from behind a screen. To the horror of Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters, Prince Roderick took Cinderella by the hand and led her to the couch. He slipped the shoe onto her foot. "A perfect fit," he cried. Cinderella pulled the other shoe out from her pocket, and the prince knew that he had found his bride. Cinderella, for she kept her new name, and her prince were married soon after. Because she had a forgiving nature, Cinderella allowed Ermintrude and Elvira to attend the wedding, and they almost managed to behave themselves. Can you see, children, in the photograph, one of the sisters has been a bit naughty. So, that was Cinderella. I hope you enjoyed it. Here was somebody else listening to the story. Goodbye, children.